I was trying to make these points about knowledge of your own background. I can do that better for someone else than I can for myself. It's not true that it's like the bat, that I look in here and I know what's going on, but I look at you, and then it could be anything. Yeah, I think that gets things round the wrong way from what our experience in everyday life. But do you?
I agree with that part, yeah.
Yeah, okay. What's the part you don't agree with?
That part.
Okay. Can you say a little bit more?
Yeah, because I think you can only identify others' emotions.
You can what, sorry?
You can only identify others' emotions and mindsets through relating them to your own and how you express those.
Is that right? Yeah. You can only identify other people's minds by connecting their behaviors, emotions, and so on to what went on in your own mind when you had those behaviors and emotions and so on.
You process what you're told.
Yeah.
You process social norms. How you relate to social norms.
That is a really interesting and important idea. But I completely disagree. I mean, suppose you think about watching movies or reading novels, that kind of stuff. That's supposed to be good for you in a way that it's not just passing the time pleasantly. You read a whole bunch of novels, you watch a whole bunch of movies, you're learning about the people on screen, right? You're finding out about what goes on with them. Now, the whole thing is they can be completely unlike you, right? They're living in 16th century Romania or 2 centuries in the future, or, they're very unlike you. But you're getting into their heads. That's what the movie is letting you do. They are expanding your sense of what's possible for humans. That's one of the interesting things about novels and movies and all that you just read a whole bunch of made-up stories about a whole bunch of made-up people, and now you understand other human beings better than you did before. And the reason you're understanding them better is you're expanding your sense of what's possible for a human. If you were really tied to yourself as the base case, you wouldn't be able to expand your understanding of other people in the way that you can. 1, 2, 3.
I also think the way, though, that you can connect to movies or books that may deal with very different situations
Yeah.
because you connect to fundamental emotions or feelings that you have had before, so that if it was just completely alien to you, you would not be able to resonate with it. But because there's a starting point that you can
Right.
connect to, that's why you can.
Good. That's very plausible, isn't it? If you didn't have the building blocks, you couldn't do it. Yeah. I mean, if you watch a whole bunch of movies about bats, you're still not going to be any further on, right? But yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. That does connect to that earlier point. Yeah. Yes. Right.
What if, to you, you know your feeling of depressed, but to him it's completely different, but since someone has said this is what depressed feels like, that he's like, oh yes, I am depressed, but it could be completely separate feelings, we just assume that it's the same feeling.
We just assume. Well, yeah, but I agree with that thing, we just assume, but you really can't push that too hard. I mean, if you see someone who's been physically injured, and you say they're having a lot of pain.
What if pain to them is different than what it is to you?
Yeah. I think we don't really. I see the idea, but I think we don't really believe that in everyday life. If I really thought pain for him was quite different to what it is for me, then why should I help? I mean, if someone says to me, there he was, screaming on the road in front of you, and you didn't help, and I say, well, pain for him might have been quite nice, I don't know. I mean, how can I tell? I was busy. I mean, I got to stand there grappling with these unfathomable mysteries. We don't really believe that in everyday life. It's fine to lean back and think, well, maybe it's completely different. But really, we don't believe that. I think, yeah. Incidentally, I do think all these points are important. It's not that I think any of this is just a waste of time. This is what Descartes thought. This is really. I think we feel this every day, actually. that uncertainty with other people. Yeah. Yep.
I was just going to echo the point that was said before, that the building block, that you have to be able to connect the experience to your own experience to then
Yeah.
begin to build up and expand.
Yeah.
It's like synthesizing and emphasizing.
Right. I think that's fair enough. All I'd say is it's building block in quite a special sense. It's not that really you can do such a lot with it. It's so plastic and flexible how much you can expand. You know, and that is what I mean about the vast range of people you encounter in movies, that you can really expand such a lot from those original building blocks in ways that initially seemed quite unimaginable. Yeah. Okay. Let me just give you an example of watching someone else's mind and knowing what's going on with them. I mean, you can do sums in your head, right? One of the great things about growing up is you learn how to do sums in your head, so you don't need pencils and paper anymore, right? So, but then you find there are some sums that are too hard to do in your head, yeah? So long division is often too hard to do in your head, yeah? So you need a pencil and paper. So let's just do some long division. Will you give me a large number, someone? A simple request, just a large number. Anyone?
17,235.
17,235. Okay. You call that large? Okay. Okay. And something to divide into it. 5? I said long. What do they teach you in schools nowadays? Give me a bigger number than 5.
176.
Wow, okay, right. Okay, so long division, right. What with one thing and another, I haven't done a great deal of long division since I was in high school, but okay. It goes something like this. Is that right? Did I do that right?
I think they might do it differently in a different
That's what?
It makes sense.
That is one way of doing it. I think I've done that wrong, even by my own, by the standards of my own people. But okay, 176 into 172, that doesn't go, right? So then it's into this. So it's 176 into this. So that's 10 would be too much. So 9. Let's try 9. Sorry? Let's try 9. Okay, 9 times 176, so that's 54. 9 times 7 is 63, and 5 is 8. Is that right? And 8, the 54. Wait a minute. I got to carry something, right? I forgot what it was I had to carry. 6, right, okay. Oh, yeah, 6. So 9 times 1 is 9, and 6 is 15. Is that right? It doesn't look right. Okay, well, let's suppose that's right. And then I subtract 4 from 3, 9. 9 from 12 is 3, and 6. No? What? 139. Okay, is that cutting to the chase? No? Does anybody else know what's going on here? I've kind of lost track. Okay. Well, let's call it 9, and approximately 9, and leave it at that. And with that, I guess I have destroyed my credibility for the term. But look, the point about that is, was I doing that sum in my head, or was I doing it in paper? Well, I mean, I promise you it was not that I was doing it in my head, right? What you saw was all out there, yeah? So if you think of thinking as manipulating with symbols, then were the symbols I was manipulating in my mind, in here, or out there? Well, the only symbols I was manipulating were out there. You saw my thoughts. That's what's so embarrassing, right? You saw my thoughts just as well as I did. When you shouted out, when people said, no, you're making a mistake there, right? You could see you could literally see what I was thinking. And you corrected it. It wasn't that, I looked into my mind and I could see there what I was thinking, and you just had to guess what was going on in my mind. Because what was going on in my mind was zero, in that sense, right? What was going on here was there was nothing relevant going on in here. That's the whole point about it being too hard to do in your head. I wasn't doing it in my head. It was all out there. You could see all the working. Yeah? You literally saw my thoughts. You could see them as well as me. And actually, that's a kind of, that I chose because it's, when you see someone a little bit under pressure, you can see very well what they're thinking. But in an ordinary conversation, or when we're talking right now, when we're having a discussion in class right now, then it can happen in an ordinary conversation that you've got an agenda. Before you say anything, you kind of plan it out, and everything is like a move. But that's not how it usually is in a conversation. Usually in a conversation, you're literally thinking out loud. Everything is out front. It's not that there's something hidden behind the words that you're using. All your thoughts are out visibly there for the other person to react to. So thinking just isn't something hidden. So if you take thinking to be manipulating with symbols, that's something you can do just as well in public as you can in your head. Sometimes, if I was more cautious about the long division, I would do it secretly on a piece of paper, right, so no one else could see. And then you really would have to guess what I was thinking. And you could think, well, when you do it in your head, it's kind of like that. You're doing it secretly. But there's a thing you're doing, that thing you're doing secretly, you could also do completely visibly for everyone else to see. So these thought processes, other people can have as good knowledge of what you're thinking as you do yourself. Other people can have more insight into how you're thinking than you do yourself. And once you get that point for thinking, it actually applies to lots of other things. You can do things secretly, or you can do them out in public. And if you're trying to find something, if I lose my watch, if I put my watch down on the desk here, and as I walk about, I'm secretly trying to find my watch, right? You might have to guess what is he up to. Or I can say I'm looking for my watch. It's as visible to you then what I'm doing as it is to me. And similarly, for being angry or being in pain, that you can be angry, you can get really mad at someone and just keep it quiet. You can bottle it up. And then it's hard for other people to figure out what's going on with you. But sometimes when you get spontaneously mad, when you bang the table, when you stamp your foot, your anger is out there visibly for everyone to see. It's not that the real anger is kind of backstage. The real anger is out there, out front, just as when you're thinking through a calculation. The real calculation is out there, out front. So Ryle's point about this is psychology, talking about the mind, isn't a matter of finding the causes of behavior. Psychology, talking about people as angry or as thinking, that's just a way of classifying their behavior. You can do those behaviors privately. You can do those behaviors in a closet